So we're back on the banks. Today you've joined me on the river. We're out doing a spot more pike fishing. I've been here for about an hour. I had a good look up and down this river this morning, and there's so many pegs that look really nice for a bite. And to be honest, the top end of this river was looking really nice. I did want to actually get in there, but unfortunately, the river is up quite a bit. It's come up probably 3 foot. We've had lots of rain over the past couple of days. And I thought, you know what, this bottom section is going to be a little bit more comfortable for filming, for setting up. But not only that, the pegs are a lot more accessible. At the top end, it was quite overgrown. So I've come down to one of my favourite sort of sections. And I've fished this peg quite a few times. I think the last time I was in this one was about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years. And it's produced quite a few fish over the years. So yeah, 24 hours on the river. The plan of attack is really simple. Try and catch the biggest pike we possibly can. Hopefully we can get a few in the bag. The main thing in this session is just working out where they are, because there's no clarity to the water whatsoever. It's that real dark mucky colour, like a chocolatey brown, zero visibility. So all I'm going to do is fish a sort of a float in the margin, and my other 2 rods, because I've got quite a lot of space here, I'm going to fish one in between the mid-channel and the margin, and then I'm going to fish one in the centre of the river, and then we'll progress to see if we can get any fish. So we'll go for the left-hand rod first. This is what I'm going to be using, a real simple inline setup float. I don't know how deep the water is. Like I say, it has come up quite a bit over the past couple of days. I'd probably say it's come up a good 2, maybe 3 foot. The other 2 rods are on leisure stems, so they're going to be absolutely prime for just casting the bait straight out. But I always like to get the gauge right. That's perfect. So that is the bait we're using. Really simple sardine, treble in the tail, centre of the fish. 25-inch long trace. There is a bit of debris on here, and with us having quite a bit of rain over the past couple of days, it is going to be coming through, and we will start picking a few bits up on here, especially on the retrieval. But for now, I'll just get this one cast out. It's nice to get the baits cast out as early as possible, especially on here. I found that sometimes it can be really productive, especially between sort of 8 to 10 o'clock, and then it goes really quiet. And then I think on here it's normally between 1 and about 4 o'clock can be a good time. So we'll get this one out. All I'm going to do on here, I'm going to rotate it all around this swim, just here. And like I say, the second rod and the right-hand rod, the middle rod and the right-hand rod, sorry, will be ventured further out, and I'll keep rotating it around there. So dead easy. That's perfect. And as you can see, there's a little bit of flow to the river, but not too much. That's going to hold fine there. So I'm fishing these both on drop-off indicators to start with. If we get a lot of debris coming through, then it might be a case of literally just fishing them as if I was doing a carp fishing session. But for now, I'm going to try and get away with it. A few people ask me sometimes, why do you use drop off? Sometimes, why don't you? And it's all down to the debris coming through the river. So everything is in situ. We are cast out and ready for action. I think it's probably about 10 o'clock, something like that. And I'd be confident for a couple of fish, I really would. I don't know about any big pike. Ooh. I think we have got our first fish. Oh, no, drop the bait. Drop the bait. No, that's a bit of a strange take. That was very, very strange. Well, at the moment, the fishing is really quiet. There's absolutely nothing showing, so I'm gonna answer a few questions what people have sent me on Instagram. We did a bit of a post asking for a few questions so I can put in a video and answer, and it might help a few people out if they're in the need of a bit of advice and stuff. So this is, and apologies if I get your name wrong, I'll probably get it wrong anyway, I'm terrible with English, but Martin Snoren, best leisure rig. there's only one really that I'd use, and that would be a simple leisure dead bait. 20-inch long trace, 5-inch sardine, yeah, that's the one to go for. Running leisure setup, if it's a nice flat bottom, just use a simple lead running on the line. If there's a bit of chod or debris, use a leisure stem. And if the silt's really thick, definitely a leisure stem, because you don't want your lead being buried in to cause any friction on the line and resistance for the pike if it takes the bait. So a normal simple running leisure setup would be my preferred method. Have you ever used a bait boat for pike fishing? I bought one purposely for pike fishing, and I used it about 3 or 4 times, didn't catch any fish with it. I was sending baits out probably 300 yards to a nice plateau in a lake. It went up from 10 foot up to 6, and it was a good area for the pike. They had been caught from there before. It didn't help me out, to be honest. I used it probably twice in a couple of carp fishing sessions, but other than that, I've never really bothered using it. I'm a big fan of old school tactics. Turn up, bag full of dead baits, a couple of rods, just cast them out and try and find the fish, and normally that does the job for me. So yeah, I'm not too fussed about bait boats, to be honest. Martin snaring again, crimping or twisting my traces. I find it makes life easier just crimping them on. You know, pack of crimps, some wire, your hooks or whatever rig you're doing, just crimping them on. Really simple, just met loops for putting them onto the quick links, and then all I do on a simple trace, I would crimp on a simple treble, and then I'd slide down the second treble on the line 5 inches away, and I'd wrap it round knotless knot style, pull it through the eye of the hook, and then I crimp a loop on the end of the trace, and that will be it. ICAM RT, try some lure fishing. Lure fishing's all right, I don't mind it. I'll do it every now and again if I'm bored, but for big pike, that's what I'm after, and the only way you're going to do that is with dead baits. The amount of anglers I speak to on a daily basis is unreal, and it's mostly lure anglers obviously passing me, and I'll speak to them all the time. I'll say, what's your biggest pike, how long you've been fishing for, and 99% of the anglers, the biggest pike will be 15, 16 pounds. Now, if I was a young kid, that would be an absolute monstrous pike to me, but I've caught thousands and thousands of pike over 30 years, and to be honest, dead baiting is the one. And the amount of questions I get all the time from people saying, I've been lure angling all my life, or I've been fishing for pike, and my biggest is 18 pound, I can't break the 20 pound barrier, I want my first 20 pounder, what do I do? My advice will be simple. Get your lure rod and your lures, put them in a room somewhere away from you, pick a dead bait rod up, go to a river, canal, any venue, and you'll get your first 20 pounder within a couple of years of doing it. As long as you're effective in what you're doing, you'll get your first 20 pounder doing that. Right, Eric style, what kind of structure are you looking for in a river? To be honest, I'm not looking for anything. Nothing at all. October, November, the pike are frequently moving up and down the river. They might be located sometimes in areas where the bait fish are, but the river, this one for example, is probably about 15, 16 miles long. It just goes on for miles. Locating them in this kind of conditions will be an absolute pain. I could leapfrog up and down, but on this particular river, I know if I stay put, I've got more chance of catching them than the possibility of me actually driving past them, the ones I'm trying to catch, especially the big pikes. So most of the time I don't mind sitting it out. I set myself 24 hours to fish. And this river in general, you have got overhanging trees and stuff, but generally speaking, they move up and down. So I've covered all bases if any fish do come through. So no, I don't really look for structure. I'll just turn up to any river, try my luck. If I don't know it very well, I'll leapfrog, keep moving. If I know the river quite well, like this one, I'll just stay put for 24 hours, and 99% of the time that works for me. Right, Martin snaring again. Popped up dead baits, yes or no? I've used dead baits, leisured and popped up, and the results were pretty much the same. If a pike's in the area, it's hungry, it'll take it. If there's weed and all bits and bobs like that, then what I would do, I would put a bolster insert into the bait and I would gently pop them up, or use a float rod, take the leisure off, and then I would suspend the bait probably 12 inches off the bottom. That would be my preferred method of doing it. Right, XS X Smudge 3, favoured method for fishing over low-lying weed, popped up baits. Again, low-lying weed, my preferred method would be a float setup, inline float, and I would suspend the bait 12 inches off the bottom and have it drifting about, just moving around. If you've got a bit of wind, if you can get a float with a flight on the top of it, it'll gently start moving. And if you're recasting every half an hour, it'll take about 20 minutes for it to slowly work its way through the margins anyway. Right, so Martin Vivo again. How would you approach a new body of water that you don't know yet, preferably a lake? I'd get some good background information of the size of the fish. So I did a lake not too long ago that supposedly had a £30 pike in. Whether it's in there or not, I don't know. It's never been caught for the best part of probably 3-4 years. So whether that's in there or not, I don't know. But a lake, I'd approach it similar to a carp angler. I'd be walking around it all the time, get a lot of information. I personally don't like asking too much. I keep myself to myself. I'll just keep going around, leapfrogging, trying different swims, hoping to get amongst some fish. All that'll happen is just do it like a carp angler would. Walk around the lake, blank, keep blanking, you'll catch one fish, keep blanking, catch another, and then you'll work out where the spots are. So margins, near reed lines. If there is snags on the lake, that's a good feature. They can be tucked away in there sometimes. Sometimes, most of the time they're not. They've probably been hammered there, so they might avoid it and be out in the middle body of water. If you want to be casting baits out a million miles to try and catch them, don't use sardine, use something like lamprey or eel sections. They're like rubber. Literally, you put trebles in them, you blast them out probably 150 yards and not need to worry about the bait coming off. That's what I did on a particular lake I fished and did really well on that. Like I say, find the features, you know, the drop-offs. If you've got really deep water, keep an eye on that in the winter time. When it drops down to sort of -1, 0 degrees for several weeks, that's a perfect place for catching them when it's the water temperature is regulated. Yeah, just treat it, just keep doing the session after session, just keep blanking and eventually you'll catch them. But keep an eye on certain areas and find out what other people are catching as well if you want to. I personally wouldn't, I just try my luck and work the lake out for myself. That's the romance of it. Keep blanking, you're thinking, where are they, what are they doing, where's the bait fish? You know, just get your barra, load a few bits on, don't take too much tackle with you, keep going around the lake. You'll catch one, you'll catch two, you'll catch four, and then eventually you'll keep doing it, and eventually you'll catch the big gill. And that is normally the case. This one is from Tony Anderton XT. What is my favourite fishing channel on YouTube? I never watch fishing on YouTube, hardly ever. If I do, there's only 2 channels, and they're both sea anglers. Very educated people, and I've been learning quite a bit actually. We have got some sessions planned. We're going to be going up to Scotland fishing for monstrous fish that can reach 200 to 300 pounds. We're going to be pike fishing in Scotland as well. And yeah, they're the only channels that I really watch if I ever do watch fishing, but I'm too busy doing what I'm doing. And half the people I meet nowadays, they'll say, have you seen this channel and that one? No, I've got no idea who half the people are on YouTube. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't watch fishing, especially with what I do. When you're doing it all the time, you just can't be bothered watching other people do it. So yeah, I just a couple of sea anglers, once in a blue moon I watch it, but other than that, yeah, I don't watch that much fishing on YouTube, to be fair. Right, final question. This one's from Jonathan Wilkes. Who would I like to collaborate with on YouTube in the fishing realm? No one, not interested in the slightest. I'm not interested in collaborations. I'm a bit of a, when it comes to fishing, I'm a bit of a loner. I don't like to be bothered or messed about with people. Certainly not making stupid videos for YouTube, that's for sure. I like to be here catching the fish, just me and the fish. And that has pretty much been my angling for 20 odd years. I very rarely do socials with people. I enjoy it when I, you know, meet up with people, but I take it too seriously. I'm here to catch the biggest fish I can. And doing socials and, you know, collaborations and stuff, not for me. So there is not one person on YouTube that I would collaborate with. Now, even if they have millions and millions of subscribers and it'd elevate my channel quickly, no, I've got no interest whatsoever. So on that note, you'll never see me collaborating with any YouTuber. Maybe if I was a kid, about 17, 18, I probably would do, but I can't be arsed, I really can't. I'm just here to catch the fish and do what I've got to do. And at the moment, I'm not doing much. It's absolutely dead. There is nothing showing. I've rotated these baits all around here, and it is, yeah, absolutely dead. So I think change of tactic. We're going to chop the heads off the baits, the fish. So let's get on with that now. Right, so slight change in tactic. I've kept the bait the same. I mean, it was okay, but what I've actually done, I've taken the head off the fish. Loads of blood and oils coming out. Oh, knock on the rod. Yeah, loads of blood and oils coming out of the fish now. We'll give this a go. But the water levels in the river is slowly starting to come up, so we did have quite a bit of rain the past 48 hours. Go a little bit further out with this one. perfect. I find over the years, when I've chopped the head off the bait, I probably caught more fish doing that than any other presentation. Obviously you've got a lot of scent trail from the blood and the oils, and that's why sardines are a really good bait to use. I mean, lamprey, that's a good bait as well. I use that over the years. But sardine has done me proud over the past probably 3 or 4 years since I was using it. So we're coming up to about 20 past 6. It is literally probably 15 minutes away from being dark. It looks fairly light on this camera, but it's much, much darker. And I'm just hoping now that we can get a few in the bag. It's the witching hour, my favourite time for catching a big pike. I actually came down here about 3 days ago with a friend of mine before the bad weather kicked in. And we did manage, it was a bit of a social, so I don't normally film those kind of sessions, but we did have a few fish further up from here, and we caught at night time. I had one just under 20. Now, the past few sessions we've done on here, we've had bites every evening we've been on here. I did a quick night session one time. Other sessions we've done, we've had them at night time on every session, so there's no reason to say we can't get some tonight, hopefully. I mean, I'm crossing my fingers. With today being really quiet, it would be nice to get a few. There's not going to be any rain tonight, so if we do catch any nice looking ones, I will get the camera out. The past 7 or 8 sessions, I haven't even bothered. I've just had a GoPro and just put the fish back. But if it is going to be, you know, a case of catching a nice, decent sized one, then I'll get everything out. But the rod's been out for 15 minutes and I'm getting debris on them already, so it might be an awkward night's fishing, if I'm honest. But only time will tell. You know, it's a witching hour. It's time for catching a big pike. I'm confident for a fish tonight, I really am. Whether it's going to be a decent sized one, I'm not too sure, but I'm just going to sort of let the pike gods decide that for me. So. Well, good morning, and it is about 7:30. It was a very quiet night, to be honest. It was probably the most quiet night I think I've had on this river, and yesterday included as well. There is literally absolutely nothing happening. I'm thinking, personally, from experience, it was the weather that we had 2 days prior, or the rain that we had. Most of the time, it can be a productive river and you can get quite a few fish. I mean, the river in general, I don't know how long it is. I think I spoke to the bailiff on here and he said that it was well over 15 miles long. There's no weir pools or sluice gates or anything like that. It's just one straight river. So, you know, it's a lot of ground to cover. And people do ask me, you know, why do you keep coming back to the same river? It's mainly the sheer size of it. Because it's so big, I probably haven't even scratched the surface of the fish that are actually in here. And not only that, you've got other little spits where it goes off for half a mile one way, half a mile another. And it's similar to the drains, you know, it just goes on for miles. So there's lots of water. And yeah, there's a lot of places where these fish can be located. So I think it's time to get these 2 rods recast, and then we'll get a coffee on and then hope that we can get some fish before we leave. Here we go, right hand rod, right hand rod. Oh, don't tell me it's debris, please. Oh God, it's debris. Yeah, that got the arc going. Literally just about to pack up. Yeah, never mind. I'm just wrapping up now anyway. Or it might have been an eel on the bait. No. I thought it had been a blank saver, but it seems this is our contender. Yeah. The mitten crabs are back. These are an I can literally watching it eat the bait now. They are such a pain in the backside. I'll try and give you a close up. This is the problem, what you've got. Well, we've come to the end of the session. It has been a bit of a grueler, not one fish in sight. My heart was pounding a bit yesterday morning when the rods were going off straight away, but that was a clear indicator that after all the rain we'd had and the debris coming through, it was going to make life a little bit difficult. And I knew the session would be quite tricky, especially when you've had clear periods with nothing happening, rain and wind and whatnot, and then all of a sudden you get massive bands of rain coming in, heavy winds. But it's all part and parcel of fishing, the blanks, I don't mind it. And if I'd been on the Trent, forget it, that'd just be completely unfishable. I mean, there's no clarity and it's quite snaggy on the sections I go to. But as we all know, if you've seen the channel, the big gills always turn up once in a blue moon. And I'm not going to be too hard on myself either, because we have had quite a few fish. I've had 420s in the past 7 days, so I'm not going to be too hard on myself. So anyway, just want to thank everyone for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.